Hello and welcome to Youth on the Rise. My name is Shamaria Hurt and I am here today to tell you about how our show came about. This production has 4 students behind it. Myself, our hosts, Celina Deleon, Davion, and Alicia. We will be interviewing 2 college students who are aspiring to be photographers and fashion designers. One name is Sean Powell and the other is Naeem Hunter. We came up with this idea because we wanted to show you guys at home the talent that goes unseen around Milwaukee. Thank you for tuning in and please enjoy our show. Next we have Celina Deleon and our first guest, Sean Powell.
Hello and welcome to Youth on the Rise. We are showcasing 2 guests today who are pursuing their own dreams. Our first one is Sean Powell. He's a student at UWM who has his own clothing line and is pursuing his career in photography. So, what inspired you first to start your photography career?
So for my photography, my mom would travel a lot while I was younger, and she would always send back these cool postcards of photos that she took or some that she found on at the different places that she had been. And there would always be a tagline about I've taken so many photos and I can't wait to show you when I get home. So I have amassed this huge collection of postcards of different places that my mom has been, and that inspired me to go out and take more photos on my own, which is why I travel so much now. And other stuff that inspired me was the fact that I had a clothing line and I knew that I needed photos and I wasn't willing to pay someone like $300 for like a 10-minute session, which is very pointless. So being able to go out and learn it on my own was a huge plus.
That's great. You mentioned your clothing line. So how did you start your clothing line as well?
So around like sophomore year, I had this idea of starting a clothing line, but it was based on an older YouTube account that I had. I'm not going to mention that name, it's very bad. So I started that one first, and it started out in my own room, just like doing screen printing and stuff like that. And it was very basic things. And then I found out that my dad had a friend who owned a print shop. And so he gave me the opportunity to come in and work with him one day. And that led to me thinking over the next like year or two about a new clothing line. I was like, something that kind of relates to the youth and how we always want to get away from things. So I came up with the idea of escape reality. So that's how it was formed.
So how long have you been like selling your own shirts and making things of that variety?
Probably since the end of sophomore year.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a freshman in college now. Pretty old.
And where can we like find these shirts?
EscapeReality.com.
Sounds great. And what inspires you for like every different collection of the clothing line?
So it goes by season or what like a popular trend that's going on at the time or whatever pops out in my head when I'm sketching in my sketchbook.
So just to jump back to your photography, are you freelance photography or you just kind of like go out and just take photos of anything?
A little bit of both. I do a lot of projects independently or with my team, and other than that, I'm pretty much fully freelance.
Do you by chance ever collab with any other photographers, bounce ideas off of anybody?
Yeah, through Instagram meetups and stuff like that, I've reached out to a lot of photographers from around the city and some in different states. And we've set up times to link up and do photo shoots and stuff like that. And it's always pretty cool until you get to like the awkward one and they're just kind of staring at you. Yeah, it's weird.
And speaking of your photo shoots, is there anyone particular that stands out to you, like your favorite one?
My favorite photographer is like based out of California. And his coloring and his compositions really inspire me to like continue doing what I do.
So then you would use that in like a little collaboration of yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
And for your clothing, do you ever showcase both? You ever like see something and then you're like, oh, I have to make clothes for that?
Yeah. It's always events that pop up and I'm like, there would always be a dope shirt for that. Or sometimes you just reach out to other people that's like hosting an event and you're like, you might need some shirts. So I'd love to help with either designing or manufacturing. I have connections to both, so
That's cool.
goes either way.
So in the future, where do you see yourself, like photography and your clothing line wise?
In the future, I see myself as a filmmaker rather than a photographer or running my clothing line. Special effects makeup is like what I really want to do.
Have you ever had any photo shoots where you did the special effects?
Not yet. Most of the special effects have been for like short films and class projects.
So with all the photography and all the clothes, how do you have time to edit, and what's your editing process look like?
So a lot of my editing takes place at the UWM Union because it's very quiet and it's a lot of different spaces that I can use. It generally takes me about an hour or two to edit about 100 photos, which are all cut down to about 15 to 20 that's given to the client. Other than that, video work takes a little longer, so about a day or so. I use Adobe Premiere, and for my photos, I use Lightroom and Photoshop.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today, and I look forward to see all your new adventures.
No problem.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome back. We hope you enjoyed our first interview with Sean Powell. Next, we have Naeem Hunter.
Hello, and welcome back to Youth on the Rise. This is our second guest of the show, Naeem Hunter. He is a student at MATC who is pursuing a business career and has his own clothing line and is a musician. So, Naeem, you are a clothing designer and an artist. What inspired you first to get into being an artist?
As a kid, I don't know. I just had a very, very harsh environment, I guess. And I just had to find a way of expressing it. And I like listening to music. I didn't really get into music until like 11. So I started writing poetry. And that poetry started turning into verses, and the verses turned into bars, and the bars turned into songs, and that's how it kind of came about. But yeah, it was just really me just coping with my surroundings, just trying to figure out like how to express myself in this environment and be okay and stay the same me, I guess, not conform to the society we live in right now. But yeah, that's how it really went about.
I suppose so you get all your music from your inspirations that you've experienced in life?
Yeah, a lot of the songs that I write about are like personal. Well, actually, as of now, it's like as of late, I've been writing very personal, like from my perspective songs. But like when I was younger, I always was interested in like other people's perspectives and like just how they see things. So I would like kind of put myself in their place. Cause like I always wanted to be an actor sometimes. So I think I'm still gonna get there. But I would try to put myself in their position when I was writing, so I speak from their perspective. But as of late, I've been writing from my perspective. I've just been really going through the motions, so trying to figure out my place in life right now.
That's a very relatable topic. So with your personal life experiences, how does that incorporate into your clothing designs?
I feel like just because the way I was raised and also the environment that I was in, because like I had a very hippie parent, like the way they raised me was very like existential. Like we learned about spirituality and understanding yourself and inner selves and stuff like that. But then the environment that I had was so like life and concrete, you know what I'm saying? So my home life and the environment kind of came together and it kind of made like the balance, you know? So that's what Hood Hippie came through. So like explaining like the existential side, which is the hippie side, of course, you know what I'm saying, the good vibes and stuff. And then the hood part is just like the hustle, like the reality of life, the harshness of life. But I think you need a good balance of both to be able to like live throughout life. And that's what came up with the name Hood Hippie. With the clothes, I was just looking around and trying to figure out a way to express myself again. I was just like, I want to get people back to their roots and like modernizing African fashion. So I started with the dashikis and stuff. And the first thing I made actually was this dashiki. And it was from this old piece of fabric that my mom got from like some yogi or something from when she was out of town or something she brought back. She told me not to cut it up. I cut it up. So I cut it up, and at first it was just a regular one, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I gotta add something to it to make it kind of like different. And the first thing I ever made, like sewing wise, was this t-shirt with a hood on it. So I'm like, I'm finna just throw a hood on it. And I threw a hood on it, and it was too short. It was ugly. But what I did was I took that concept and I was like, I like the hood idea. I just got to make sure that I can, like, I guess, make it more stylish. So that's what I did over these couple of years. So that's how everything kind of boiled up. It was pretty cool.
I get you.
It kind of just went along in like a trail, like it was cool.
Oh, that's very interesting. So I see that your clothing is obviously, your music is all inspired from like how you bring up. Is there any other elements that come into your music or anything?
Currently, in my love life, I mean, as long as I can remember, I've always wrote about my situations and my relationships. So like, even just being freaky, I was just a force. But yeah, I write about that. Social issues, a lot of things that we go through, rather than just from my perspective or my environment, just outside perspective, understanding the world we truly live in, like, and understanding like where I stand as a black person in America or as a minority in America, rather than just like, you know what I'm saying, me and my hood or something like that. So, you know, those type of things is the type of things I like to touch on, just because I feel like a lot of people want to be able to, you know what I'm saying, like listen to something like that, but nobody actually has like the courage to make music like that. So, yeah.
Well, that's very admirable. Is there anything we should look forward to in the future with you?
You should be looking forward to a lot of hood hippie. Over this summer, we're doing a couple of campaigns, trying to connect with the groups that we really like, who's really been supporting us as of late. So I would say that we're gonna be connecting with a couple of artists, and actually outside of just music, rather than just fashion, like break dancers. We're gonna have a couple of things coming out this summer for y'all. We're gonna have product for y'all, finally. I've been holding back for a long time, but it's finally here. Y'all gonna get it, so.
That's cool. And so where can we look on to see where all your clothes and all your music goes on to?
Right now, my website is at hoodhippieapparel.com/storeenvy. But that website is not open right now because, of course, I don't have my clothes on there until everything releases. But my fashion, we have a Hood Hippie Apparel Instagram. I have a SoundCloud, The Vibe. It's THV Vibe. Yeah, I spelled it weird. But yeah, right now those are the places. We actually have a Facebook page too as well. And we have a YouTube page, Hood Hippie Apparel. You'll be able to find that too. And we're gonna be having a lot of things coming out this summer for y'all.
Well, thank you so much for coming into the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody who was watching Youth on the Rise. This is the end of our program. If you want to get in contact with our guests, we have contact pages that will be put up in just a second. But thank you so much for everybody who's watching, and hopefully you be on the show next. Thank you.